Today, I wanted to do a piece on a guy that I met in Leavenworth, USP, back in 94 or 95. I met this guy on the weight pal. I seen this guy in a weight competition. They was doing deadlift, bench press, and squats. I didn't really know this guy at first, but I came to know him and I came to be good friends with him. I never really seen him play basketball, football, or baseball. I always seen him on the weight pile. His name is Trey K out the 20's. I end up being familiar with Trey K because we was taking a business class. And I always used to see him on the weight pal, and he was benching over 400 on the bench. He was deadlifting the most I ever seen a guy his size do, and he was deadlifting for his weight class and the pounds he was in, he was number one in that class. And later on, I come to find out that this guy was one of the elusive jewelry store robbers on the west side of Los Angeles. I come to find out that he was also a jacker and a bank robber. A jewelry store robber. This guy was pretty much like a Cadillac Bob from Five Deuce, but this guy is actually a blood from the 20's. I end up knowing Trey K, and I end up knowing about his case, and I end up knowing about his crime spree. We became friends, and he started telling me about how he used to rob jewelry stores, but he didn't know that people had already told me that Trey K loved to rob jewelry stores, and they say he used to have a red eye rock, one of the cleanest red eye rocks you ever want to see. And not only that, I met some guys that lived the next neighborhood over from his neighborhood, and I showed them a picture of this guy, and they say, man, this guy right here, he's the real deal from 20's. And I was like, that was kind of like my first time meeting a guy from 20's from the west side, because we have a 20's on the east side that's Bloods too. But I thought he was from 20's from the east side, but they're like, nah, man, this guy is from 20's on the west side. And we always would talk about different things and different guys that was doing the same type of jewelry store licks that he was doing. And not only that, one day he ended up getting out of jail. And he was one of the first guys that I seen getting visits all the way from California. I think he had a Hispanic wife, and he used to go to visit rooms. He came from TI, and he came to Leavenworth where I was in 90. I got there in 94. I think he got there in like 96 or 97. But to talk about Trey K is, I heard Trey K had got out. And when he got out, I heard he was doing good. He had got a red BMW, and I heard he was doing real good. And I heard he was back in jail. And I was like, hold up, man. We was just talking about getting our own business, starting different kind of business, because we had to stand up and do a business plan. And we had to talk about the business plan. And I was laughing at him, and he was talking about a business plan, and I was talking about a business plan, and I was laughing because we had to get up in front of class and do it. But I had heard that Trey K had caught another case. And then I heard he had went to the state in California for a jewelry store lick. I guess robbery and jewelry store robbery is addictive. I always see guys that bank robbers, they always came back to jail, or they would catch another case pretty much doing the same thing. I think it's addictive. But this guy, Trey K, was one of the most disciplined guys I ever met on the weight pile or on his life in prison. And I watched him, and I always figured out, if I was a blood, which one would be the criteria that I would like to look at. But I think it would be, I think we brothers. I think Trey K we probably had the same dad, but I don't know what. I'm not have to look into the DNA. But he's a good friend of mine, and we kind of like look alike, but he's a little bit bigger than me. But he's a good man, and I always respected him, and I always looked up to him, and I always knew that this guy was special because his name, and sometimes when you have a name like that, you got to represent that name. I never heard nobody try to disrespect him. I never heard nobody really, trip about his name. But when you name yourself something like that, what his name is, you really got to be about what you be about. And I noticed that he was about what his name is. And I seen that he had a lot of respect, and the way he walked, and the way he talked, and the way he carried himself, he was always A1. He was always trying to, promote what his agenda was, because he knew I was a Crip, and he knew that, I was on one side, he was on the other side. But sometimes, man, you get to be friends with guys that was in the business. I don't do the jack thing. I ain't never really been into that robbery thing, but that's his thing, and that's what he was in jail for, and that's what he got his time for, and that's what I had heard that he was doing. But I heard that he was back in jail on another jewelry store case, but not now. I'm talking about when he went to the state. And one day, I was reading the newspaper, and I think I was reading the Bayview newspaper. I was in a hole, and I seen that he was getting ready to get out of prison, and I seen some articles that he was talking about some stuff in the articles, looking for, I think it was in the part where you look for women at. But I asked him about it. He said that wasn't him, but anyway, it's a long story. But I had noticed that one time I had heard that he was on the street, and I had a guy named Sonny. Sonny was from Hoover, and Sonny said, man, I talk to Trey K all the time. I said, man, give me Trey K number. So I called Trey K, and the guy that he was, he told me, say, Fish, man, I'm gonna send you some pictures. And lo and behold, he sent the pictures, and I already respected that because he didn't have to do that. And he sent me some pictures. I still got the pictures, and I already remember Trey K from being a man of his word. And then actually, Trey K ended up getting out, and I've been talking to him ever since. But I just don't know. I think he got a good job right now, but I just don't know. I think he's out for good this time, and I know he's a motivational speaker. I seen some of his videos, and I always knew that Trey K was going to be somebody in life and be a billionaire. And I just wanted to speak on this guy because I know that he's from a good family, and he represents the 20's on the west side. And I always wanted to be able to talk about the guys that I did time with. He knew that I had a life sentence in the feds, and he already respected me, and he always listened to me on different advice on books, on entrepreneurs, on biographies, autobiographies. And I just hope that and pray that me and Trey K and Fat Rat from Jungles and Bun Tree and Creek is another guy that I experienced being a friend of. He's from APB. I think Bun Tree's from APB, and Fat Dog, he's from the Jungles. Fat Rat. And I really hope that we be able to do some business together one day and make a movie and talk about the feds and talk about how our experience was. But today I'm just glad to be able to talk about a guy named Trey K from the 20's. That's my brother, and I love him very much.